Hi, Dean Kobayashi here for the NS Stick channel. In this episode, I'm going to go over truss rod adjustment on the NS Stick. Knowing to adjust your truss rod is very important on this instrument, on all the stick instruments really. You want to make sure that you can keep a flat as possible neck. In order to do that, you need to be comfortable adjusting your truss rod. So, when do you need to change it? When will you know when to change it? And what you'll really notice is when you're just playing. So, if it feels like you're having to kind of put a lot more energy into it, a lot more having to really slam the string against the fretboard, then yeah, you probably need a truss adjustment. Maybe you're hearing some buzzes and things and it feels like you're really just too close to the fretboard. That can happen too. And then you probably need a truss adjustment. The instinct that most of us have coming from a guitar is to adjust the bridge and to just raise or lower that, and that's really not the case. Most likely is not the case when you get your instrument. If you had your stick, if you bought it directly from Stick Enterprises, or you know the person who had it before you had it adjusted there, did a tune-up with them, and they didn't change any settings on it, then most likely all you need to do is adjust the truss. Okay, because the neck can change with humidity, with temperature. Maybe you put a new set of strings on it, which I just did, and really just strings. It shouldn't change that much, but it can. So I just changed the strings on this, and I was kind of feeling like, oh, maybe the truss needs to be adjusted. And I want to show you that you can adjust it and kind of play around with it a little bit, and then adjust it some more and see how it feels. And there's really no harm to doing that to the instrument. So what does the truss rod do, and where is it? So on the NS stick, you can actually see it on the back. It's just this metal bar that goes on the back here, and you will adjust it by sticking your trusty little hex wrench through the hole at the top here, and it'll go into the end of the truss rod here. So I'm going to just do that right now. And then, so what the truss rod does is it will either, when you tighten it, it will compress the one side of the neck, or when you loosen it, it lets the string tension take the neck back towards the strings. And so if I were to use my hand as an example here, and so let's say the strings are on this side, the fretboard, and this is the back side of the instrument. So when you tighten the back side with the truss rod, you're going to bring that neck back. And when you loosen it, it's going to go the other way. So the strings are going to pull it with the string tension, and essentially either bending the neck this way or bending it this way. And by making that adjustment, we can make sure that the fretboard is as flat as possible, and you can get the best playability out of your instrument. And like I said, if it comes from Stick Enterprises and you get it and you're like, oh, this isn't quite playing right, it probably just needs a truss adjustment. So we see in the forums that a lot of people ask the question about the truss. Is it really okay to adjust it? Is it, it's kind of scary when you first do it. And I guess the point here is don't be afraid of it. Just follow a few rules here. One is to make small adjustments. Turn the truss maybe eighth of a turn to quarter of a turn at a time. No more than that, really. And then check it out, and then keep going from there. And I'll show you how I try and figure out if the neck can be tightened or it can be loosened. So there's different ways of looking at the neck. Once you get it adjusted, adjust it, you'll probably just do it by feel. You know, when you're playing, you kind of figure out if you know, you want to get those, it feels like it's too far from the fretboard, or you want to get it close, you know, closer or further. You know, you can do it by feel. And there's a great video on YouTube by Greg Howard where he does it just by feel. He's playing it, and then he has the truss wrench, which is different for that instrument, and adjusts it. And you're going to be doing the same thing with this. You can do it visually. You can look through from, you know, look at the neck and looking up at the light and looking down one side. You can see the tips of the frets and see if those are straight or not. I'm personally horrible at that, so I don't do it that way. Also, when you do check it, don't do it on the bass side. You do it on the melody side. There is a curve that is made into these frets on the bass side, and that's okay. Just the strings need to vibrate a little further, and that keeps it from buzzing. So do it with the melody side on the high string side, okay? I once did was visually looking at the bass side, and I kept tightening these strings until it got flat, what I thought visually was flat, and then it turned out the melody side strings were just flat against the fretboard, and you couldn't even play the instrument. It was really bad. So do it from the melody side if you do it visually. And also, in this technique that I'm going to show you is all on the melody side on the highest string. So, and this is what I do. So I will hold a fret just up here, just pressing the string against the fret at the top, and then I'll do it on the highest fret or one below it, somewhere around here, not a big deal. And I'll hold the two ends, and then I'll use my index finger to just kind of tap that string, and you can actually, I don't know if you can hear that, but the string is just a hair off of the fretboard, so you can hear it knocking against the fret. So, you know, barely there. You can just tell it's probably like less than a paper, you know, the thickness of a piece of paper, that kind of distance in there. See, when I hold the string at the top and then also on the bottom here, I'm, in theory, creating a perfectly straight line that I can compare the fretboard against. So that's what I do, and that's how I know that that's a good place. It's probably a good place. It seems pretty close, and maybe it's a little close, but that's how I do it. So, and I've been playing it a little bit here, and it sounds pretty good. It feels pretty nice. It's nice and low, and I can play it fairly quickly, and it feels really nice. You know, check the bass side also, and I'm not hearing any buzzes down here, at least. I'm hearing, I think, maybe something just, my dampener might be rattling a little bit, but as I play it, it feels pretty good. Maybe there is a small rattle somewhere, but you know, we're gonna check that out as we make some tweaks here. So and what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna first tighten the truss. Let's see what happens when we do that. And when we make any adjustments, I highly recommend taking notes. Write down how many turns you did on what. You know, if you're doing like an adjustment on your nut here, or on the bridge, whatever you're doing, it's always great to take notes and know what you did, because you might make a change and then it just doesn't, it's getting worse, and you want to know what you did, and you might have to take it back. In this instance, I'm just doing the truss rod. I'm not doing anything else, so I'm not going to take any notes. But since it's just the one thing, we'll just make the change, play around with it a little bit, and see how that feels and what's changed, and then you know, maybe take it back and forth a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually tighten this and see what happens. And my guess is that when I tighten it, I'm just going to do a 1/8 of a turn. It's going to probably, when I do that string test, it's not even going to come off the fretboard. And that tells me that the neck is most likely too tight, the truss rod's too tight, and the frets are just right up against the strings, and the neck is bowed back too far. So let's give that a try. So tightening it is turning to the right, like if you're in a car and you turn to the right, righty tighty, lefty loosey. And so I'm going to turn it this way and an eighth of a turn. I did hear that when you do this adjustment, it's best to make it kind of in a sharp motion. If you do it with a slow, like smooth motion, there's a possibility you will strip. You might strip the where the nut fits with your wrench. This is a great fit in here. I don't think it's going to do that, but let's try and keep the longevity of the instrument as long as possible here. So here I go. So there we go. And I'm just going to leave the wrench in there because it's just easier when we're doing this. And I usually do this with a strap on because I don't need to like pull it up and down, but just to be able to show you, I don't have my strap on, so I can flip it around and show you guys. So here we go. I'm going to hold my pinky down here and holding a fret up here, and yeah, there's no play in that at all. It's right up against the fret, and I know that's gone too far. So what I'm going to do now is go back an eighth, and then we'll see how that feels. So loosening it. Okay, so there. And actually I just went over an eighth, so it might actually take it further than where it was before. So I'm going to do the same test here. Yeah, and I can tell there's a little space there, and it feels a little further than it was before before I started, because I went a little further than an eighth on that one. Not quite a quarter turn, but it still feels pretty good, you know. Maybe I had it a little too much before, I don't know. But really it's by feel. And let me check the bass side. You know, and I like the bass side a little better now. So I must have had the truss too tight just a while ago there. Before we tightened it, I mean. Because I'm not hearing any of that buzziness that was happening on the bass strings that I thought maybe was coming from the dampener or something. And that's amazing. I mean, that's within, you know, if this is a, you know, you got a quarter turn here, quarter turn like this. So instead of having to go a full quarter turn, I went an eighth turn, I tightened it, and then I took it back a little further than the quarter turn. So within, you know, less than 90 degrees is all the adjustment I made here. And, you know, the bass side sounds better now, actually, now that I play it like that. And the melody side still feels great too. It's nice and low. And it feels nice. So I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to give that a try. And, you know, it's just something not to be afraid of when you get your instrument. Small adjustments like that is probably all you need to do. I did, however, recently I borrowed a friend's NS stick, actually, and I was playing with it, and man, it was so hard to play. I mean, my fingers were just actually starting to hurt a little bit, you know, and I was having a hard time playing it, and you know, I was kind of holding it up, and I can tell that the strings looked so high off the fretboard, and you know, the first instinct was, oh man, I think maybe he has his bridge adjustment too high. But then I said, you know what? No, we need to check the truss first. I did this test here, holding it down, and went like that, and there was so much play in that compared to my instrument, and I was like, okay, that's the first thing I'm going to adjust. And then sure enough, I had to adjust it quite a bit. I think I did, I don't remember how many turns I actually did. Maybe it was a full turn, maybe it was half turn, 3/4, somewhere around there, but I changed a little bit. I would do an eighth to a quarter turn, check it out, and play it and be like, okay, I can go a little more, a little more, a little more. And then I actually went past it a little bit and then just backed it off, kind of just like what I did just now. And that instrument plays so nice now, even with the old strings he has on it. And probably when he gets new strings on it, he's going to have to do the same adjustment. But yeah, it's the one adjustment that you need to be able to do, because wherever you go, the humidity might change, the temperature, all these factors can change just from room to room, and you'd just be frustrated every time that you go somewhere different. It's like that, and just a quick adjustment, and you're all set to go. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to leave any questions below. I'll answer them. Any comments as well. Feel free to point out anything if I'm wrong, and I'll make any corrections. But I think that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been reading about as well, and I haven't had any issues with the methods that I use. So I hope this comes in handy to you and is helping someone out there. So please subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching, and have a great day.